There's a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello and welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy, staying a safe distance from my good friend and colleague Joe Stanley. Welcome to you, Joe.
Hey there, Darcy. It's lovely to be here. We may have temporarily lost our usual studio, but this place is beginning to feel like home. It's hashtag Happy House of Wellness. And while we're on the subject of happy, did you read about the couple in India who they had twins, which obviously is beautiful news, and then they went one step further and named the boy COVID and the girl Corona.
Wow, so the family got on board and went with it.
Yeah. Did you know, Darcy, it was recently International Happiness Day?
Well, I must have missed that one, Joe, I've got to confess, but thanks for telling me.
Well, the United Nations gave it a big push to try and spread good cheer around the globe and give us all a bit of respite from the concerns about coronavirus.
It has become all-consuming, so we're going to balance it out with some feel-good stories as well on the House of Wellness today.
Yeah, we often hear about the mind-body connection between mental and physical well-being. Because studies show that optimistic people who have a brighter outlook on life are less likely to get heart disease. So keep the exercise going and keep smiling.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me, that one, Joe. So lots to look forward to after coronavirus, Joe. But right now, of course, it's still the number one topic on everyone's minds. Its impact has been devastating. However, the longer it goes on, the more time scientists have had to study it and find a long-term viable solution.
Well, Melbourne's Doherty Institute for Infection and Immunity was the first laboratory in the world to replicate the virus outside of China. And it's part of the worldwide race to find a vaccine. The institute is a key advisor to the federal government and has helped drive our national response to the pandemic to help authorities plan and prepare.
Yeah, I caught up with the Institute's patron, Nobel Prize-winning scientist and the Australian of the Year, Professor Peter Doherty, to talk about the virus that's gripping the globe. So, Professor, initially people were comparing this and saying, well, if it's another version of the flu, why are we so concerned about this? Can you answer that? What is the difference between the coronavirus and other strains of virus?
Yes, well, the influenza viruses that we're used to are the seasonal ones or the pandemic ones. The last pandemic one, the 2009 swine flu pandemic, as we called it, which jumped across into us from pigs, was milder than everyone had expected. And part of the reason for that is that people who are alive in 1977 had been infected with a somewhat similar virus, which seemed to give them immunity. So what's that tells us? And also with all influenza, in fact, there's some background immunity. There's even with a completely new strain. So, but what we have with COVID-19 is what we call a virgin soil outbreak. That is, we've never seen this virus or anything quite like it before. So there's absolutely no immunity.
Is the vaccine the only way out of this, Professor? Is there another way for us to get to a cure?
The way out of it is through what we call herd immunity, and you could reach that in one of two ways. I mean, you could get everyone infected, and those that survive will be immune. And there's a lot of discussion around that. And to some extent, that's what's happening now in the United States. But if we do that, a lot of people will die because the hospital system will be overwhelmed and we'll lose a lot of doctors and nurses as well. If we could boost the herd immunity with a vaccine, that would mean we'd be reasonably protected.
Professor, rapid antibody testing, something that you've been an advocate of. Can you explain that to us?
What happens when you get infected with the virus, you make an immune response and you make antibodies. And it's those antibodies that are essentially the footprint of infection. They're floating around in the blood. They're basically what we stimulate with vaccination, and that's the protective component. So we need a broad antibody test that can be applied to large numbers of people in the community very easily. And those tests are currently under development, and we're actually looking at some of them right now in our institute, as others are. And once someone's antibody positive, we think they should be safe and they're not going to transmit or they're not going to be infected. So that would be important information. It would also give us a lot of illumination on the issue of actual death rates, because it would tell us how much background infection there is.
Are you convinced that once someone has got it, they're not going to get it a second time?
I'd be pretty certain, but we don't have robust evidence on that. I'd be very surprised.
Professor, we're hearing out of the Doherty Institute as well around maybe repurposing HIV drugs, malaria drugs, even a head lice drug I read about as a potential treatment. Have you got any news or thoughts on that?
Yes, no, we don't know of anything at the moment that's really effective. There's a number of drugs in trial here and elsewhere, and the malaria drug and the anti-HIV drug, I don't know whether they're yet in trial, but there's a trial all set up and it's ready to go. I'm not particularly confident that any of the drugs that are currently being talked about are going to be that useful, but maybe I'd be happy to be wrong, of course. I mean, that would be great. But at this stage, it's too early.
I'm going to ask you the question that I think is unanswerable, but everyone wants to know. When do restrictions ease in your mind? When do we go back to some sort of life as normal? Is there any sort of time frame you've got in your mind?
We'll just have to see what happens over the next few weeks. And my perception is a bit, though, that if we don't have evidence of community spread over the next few weeks and everyone will get a bit more relaxed about it, and then people will mix around more, and if there is some virus out there, it'll tick up again. And so you'd sort of get another issue coming along. And what would you do? Would you try and reimpose all these restrictions, or what would you do? So it's at the policy level, and they're listening to the epidemiologists and the public health people, and as yet we don't know enough to predict an end to it. The only certain end to it would be a vaccine, and I don't see, at the very best scenario, a vaccine before early next year at the earliest, and that's much earlier than most people would predict.
Well, what a fascinating and inspiring chat, Joe, with one of our country's greatest minds, along with helping us work through and develop a COVID-19 vaccine. He's also writing a weekly explainer on the Doherty Institute website called Setting It Straight, getting the right facts out there. He's a 79-year-old grandfather, Joe, and he's practising what he preaches as well. He's doing it all from home.
Well, we are just so lucky to have people like him on our side, Das, and let's hope they find a vaccine very soon.
We know that this virus will eventually pass and that life does still go on. That's especially true in the sectors keeping us healthy in other areas. Up next, we join the Red Cross in a call-out for national blood donors. Back after this. Welcome back to the House and Wellness. Joe, you might remember last year I paid a visit to the Red Cross to do my bit for World Blood Donor Day. I know you've given blood too as well before. Yeah, I
have, and I think it's one of the most simple ways as an individual you can help lots of people. That's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, a trip to Bali last year meant that I actually couldn't give blood, mostly due to the concerns about malaria, but I did donate plasma, which is also high in demand.
And with everyone staying home and perhaps a little bit anxious about visiting any kind of medical clinic right now, many people are asking, can I still give blood?
Yeah, well, the simple answer, Joe, is yes. Blood and plasma donations remain absolutely vital, and anyone under the age of 70 who isn't feeling unwell is allowed to travel to a clinic. In fact, the Red Cross is urging people to do just that.
Many years ago, my wife required urgent surgery. During the surgery and post-operatively, she needed a huge amount of blood to be infused into her, almost her entire blood quantity. Without that blood, I don't think she would be here now. So, blood donors do give the gift of life.
Right now, most of us are only leaving home to exercise and shop for groceries. But there's one other great reason to step outside and roll up your sleeves.
Despite government restrictions, blood donation remains an essential service, and it is something that you can leave the house to do. Unlike toilet paper, we can't stockpile it. We need people to keep coming in, so it's there for the people that need it.
Australia relies on more than 29,000 blood, plasma and platelet donations every single week. And the Red Cross are going to great lengths to keep the business flowing in.
Morning, how are you?
When people do arrive, they'll be undertaking a wellness check. Now, this involves asking a couple of quick questions, and we're also checking your temperature.
Perfect, so that's 36.1.
After that, we've also got hand sanitizer available for you to use whenever you like while you're in the centre. We're already highly regulated with medical grade cleans, but we've increased the amount of cleaning we do on frequently touched items like the electronic tablets for questionnaires or the donation couches. In addition, we are practicing social distancing wherever possible, and to aid in that, we're asking people to book ahead. Bookings are now absolutely essential whenever you want to donate blood to help us manage social distancing in our centres.
You feel very secure and safe. It only takes about an hour, straight in, straight out, and you get a bit of a snack at the end, which isn't too bad.
We put a call out a while ago for more donors, and we have just been overwhelmed with the generosity of Australians. Even when their worlds are being turned upside down by coronavirus, they have just come forth in droves, willing to donate blood, including over the Easter long weekend. It's just been so fantastic to see.
Being able to do something for fellow Australians while the COVID-19 lockdown's on is my way of helping out.
A lot of people are out of their jobs. Unemployment's going through the roof. Incomes have dried up. So a lot of people can't donate to the regular charities. The money's not there to do a donation. But as far as blood products are concerned, there's always room for donation there. And this, to me, is the best way that I can contribute to the community.
Well, as you know, Joe, giving blood or plasma is such a rewarding thing to do, particularly now when you have no control over what's going on. Somehow you feel like you're doing something really good.
Yeah, and it's 100% painless. In fact, I think I remember you nodding off.
I did.
When you were at the Red Cross last year. So the Red Cross looks after you so well, and a new donor is needed every 5 minutes. So if you're under 70 and not unwell or self-isolating, please consider becoming a donor. If eligible, you can do it as often as every 12 weeks.
Speaking of red-blooded, our own Hines gets some serious fermenting going in his quest for better gut health. That's next on the House of Wellness.
Hey guys, I am way more than 2 metres apart from you both. I totally wish I could be there, and I'm missing you both heaps. But this is the new normal, right? I don't think there's anyone who's not having to change or adapt in these current conditions. That said, I tell you what, Chia, my little dog, is so rapt to have me home. She's getting so many more walks, and it's keeping me on my toes. Now, Das, I've also been cooking up a storm for you, but mate, hate to break it to you, with these recipes, you don't have me making them for you. You're gonna have to make them yourself, buddy.
One of my favourite people to catch up with each week is Luke Hines, who's doing his bit to keep us all happy and healthy while he's doing the right thing and staying at home in Sydney, Joe.
Yes. I haven't tried his Don't Panic pancakes.
I tell you what, I have been experimenting.
Yes.
Well, I've got to say, Beck's been experimenting with Hines' latest cookbook. Apple blueberry crumble, unbelievable. And the little cauliflower popcorn sort of chicken
I've made
style.
them.
Fantastic.
Delicious.
Can't say they're quite Hines' quality, but...
Yeah, mine did not look like the picture, but they tasted amazing. So get into them. And today, Hines is looking at the fermented tea drink that's gone from being home brewed by hipsters to steaming up home kitchens everywhere.
Making your own kombucha is one of the easiest and cheapest things you can do for your health. So follow these simple steps and you'll be looking after your gut health in no time. Kombucha is a slightly fermented sweet tea, so we need black tea and white sugar. You'll need an existing starter culture, and that comes in the form of a mother or existing kombucha. Now, if someone's given you a SCOBY, usually it will come with the mother itself. Now, this here is the SCOBY, which stands for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Now, a lot of people, when they first see a SCOBY, get a little bit freaked out. It's almost like an alien in there, but no surprise, it is a living organism. Once we grow a SCOBY in here, you can take off a layer and give it to your mate so they can make their own kombucha at home. Some people worry about the high sugar content in this drink, but interestingly enough, it's very low carb because the SCOBY eats the sugars to help ferment the tea. So I'm going to start with the water. We're looking for about 5 litres today. Now, I've already boiled and steeped some black tea, and we've cooled that down, ready to go in. When it comes to the sugar, you want it to be already dissolved in some boiling water and cooled down. Remember, we're avoiding heat in this process because we don't want to kill the SCOBY or the mother. And then finally, our culture in the form of pre-made kombucha. And of course, the SCOBY itself. It's a slippery little sucker. And remember, don't touch it. We want to interfere as little as possible to keep it good bacteria, no germs or bad bacteria getting in this baby. I'm going to stir it with a wooden spoon. I'm talking about how important glass is, avoiding plastic, avoiding metal, because it can affect the bacterial structure here. So even though the SCOBY is smaller than the mouth of the jar, throughout the fermenting process, it's going to grow and expand, and it'll cover the surface perfectly. The next thing we want to do is cover it with a good, clean tea towel, and then seal the top of the lid with an elastic band. Now, we place this in a warm, dark place. A pantry is fantastic. The warmer the location you put it, the faster your kombucha is going to ferment. The sweet spot for kombucha is about 2 weeks, give or take. It should taste a little bit tart, slightly sweet, very pleasant. When you're happy with your booch batch, you can then bottle it up and do different flavourings. We've got lemon, coconut sugar, ginger. They're all fantastic additions. And when you bottle it up and put the lid on, it becomes fizzy over a couple of days. And don't forget, make sure you reserve some of your mother and the SCOBY for your next batch.
Fair to say it's an acquired taste kombucha, Joe. Maybe a fizzy, vinegary sort of style, but I'm a bit of a fan. Do you like it?
Yeah, I really do like it, and I feel its effect immediately on my gut health. I just love it. So here's something you need to know, though. If you are having a go at brewing it yourself at home and storing it in bottles, what you have to do is release the lid for a few seconds every second day. It's called burping the bottle. And it stops them from exploding. So don't forget that very important step.
Exploding bottle to avoid is a good tip, Joe. As Heinzie just said, our guts needs heaps of healthy bacteria to thrive. Eating lots of fibre is also a key to good gut health. So things like rye bread, oats, legumes, bananas, berries and oranges, and heaps of veggies as well.
Well, we do talk a lot about guts, don't we?
We do.
We love it. We love gut health here, which brings me to our other regular on the show, master herbalist and pharmacist, Gerald Quigley, who's always got something interesting to say about gut health.
Take a seat, Eleanor.
Thank you. Oh, look at all these gut-friendly foods.
Magnificent. Yogurt, granola.
Also some sauerkraut and kimchi.
Garlic and ginger, your flavour of kombucha and mine.
Fantastic.
Eleanor, how important is it to maintain a healthy gut?
Extremely important to maintain a healthy gut. So our gut's involved in so many different functions, and we require good gut health for both physical health as well as mental health. Both diet and lifestyle are going to affect the function of your gut, but there are also other many factors that will affect it as well. Stress is a huge factor that really does affect your gut function. Medication use, things like antibiotics, can cause a disarray within the good bacteria and bad bacteria balance in the gut. So we need to make sure we are bringing the gut back into balance, because it is so important for so many different functions. And if we don't do that, then it can really affect a lot of other organs and systems and the way that we feel and we think throughout the day.
Eleanor, you mentioned antibiotics before, but we hear of pre- and probiotics. What are they?
Okay, so a probiotic is a beneficial live bacteria. So probiotics make up part of this microflora within our gut. A prebiotic is, I guess, in a sense, any type of food that the probiotics will eat to stay alive and thrive. They also need to eat to make sure that they're thriving and doing the jobs that they should be.
There are lots of people who take a probiotic every day for gut health, but what else can they do?
So there's so many different things that we can do to maintain gut function. Probiotics are great, but they're only one part of a very complicated system. So we can incorporate some really wonderful dietary aspects, so incorporating whole foods, fruits and vegetables, colourful fruits and vegetables, fermented foods like your kimchis, your good quality yogurts, are all going to provide some beneficial nutrients for our gut health. And we can also explore supplementation for good gut health as well.
What are some of the nutrients that we could look at to soothe and repair and nourish?
So there are lots of nutrients we can, again, use for our gut function, but some of my favourites tend to be things like slippery elm powder is really good at soothing and coating the digestive tract the whole way through. Aloe vera has a similar action as well. Glutamine's a fantastic nutrient for gut repair, making sure things are running well. A little bit of zinc and some curcumin, all some fantastic ingredients for good gut health.
And that's like a team, isn't it? All those things do slightly different things, with the final function being we're restoring, rebalancing, recharging our ability to digest our food.
Yes, absolutely. So if we're doing all of that, then we're going to keep our gut really healthy, and therefore our physical and mental health really healthy.
Fair to say one of our favourite things is to just wind GQ up a little bit, Joe, but he makes me laugh.
Yeah, he's great value, and I'm lucky because I get to spend every Sunday morning with him also on our radio show, and he's always in great form then.
Hey, up next, we look at how Aussie businesses are faring in the light of the economic shutdown and see how one innovative company has changed the way it operates to stay afloat, right after this on the House and Wellness. You're watching the House of Wellness. As we know, coronavirus has delivered a massive blow to Aussie businesses pretty much across the board, Joe.
Yeah, and that's especially true in retail, hospitality, tourism, the arts and event stars. But I have to say I've been blown away by the innovation that's come out of this pandemic. From wristbands that buzz when you go to touch your face, to hands-free door openers and even acrylic doors for supermarket fruit displays.
Then there's the online world. We're seeing things like virtual gym and dance classes, online latte deliveries, developments in robotics and technology, and the list goes on and on.
One of the things that keeps flying off the supermarket shelves, and everyone needs it, is, of course, hand sanitizer. And alcohol-based hand sanitizers work best, and local alcohol manufacturers have jumped in to fill the gap. I spoke to the co-founder of Aussie company 4 Pillars Gin, Stuart Gregor, about turning his tipple into a hand sanitising tonic. Well, it might not surprise you, Stuart, that I am quite a fan of 4 Pillars Gin and have, on occasion, made...
Surprise me at all, Joe. We have met.
We have met. So tell us, you had to make a pretty serious decision to pivot your business when coronavirus hit. Tell us about that.
Oh, look, it's been an incredible few weeks, and for those of us who don't know, you know, we have a reasonable sized distillery in Healesville in the Yarra Valley, just an hour or so outside of Melbourne. And as with everyone in business, I think it just happened in stages. And first, we started really feeling it in the on-premise in Australia. That's the restaurants and bars in Australia. We then had a complete collapse of what we call the travel retail market, which is the duty-free market, basically, because about 20% of our global business is duty-free. You know, people coming in and out of airports all around the world buying their litre of spirits. One of the things that we were doing in the last couple of weeks while we were open is we were making some hand sanitizer, basically just from what's called the heads and tails of the distillation process. So the stuff that doesn't taste that good if you're actually drinking gin, but it's very high in alcohol, and often it's a bit of a byproduct that we might just get rid of. And we were actually just having a little pump pack of it at the front of the distillery. And obviously it became something that all of a sudden people started asking, hey, have you got a little bit more of that hand sanitizer? There it is there. That's one of the first bottles, which is just called Take Care Hand Sanitizer. It's 80% alcohol. We have access to a lot of alcohol, and we'll probably make somewhere in the order of 50,000 litres of this over the next couple of weeks, and we will keep making it until the need for it diminishes. In a way, we hope that's sooner rather than later. We'd love to get back to making gin, but for now we're making hand sanitizer, and we are still people. But one of the things when I talk about this, people freak out that we're not making any gin or we're going to run out of gin. And rest assured, we are still making gin in those rare moments where we're not making hand sanitizers. So we've got to keep a really good balance in the business at the moment.
So what is actually the recipe for this? It's obviously not gin. We can't drink it.
No, do not drink it, please. First of all, it's impossibly strong. It's 80% alcohol. And we've just followed to the letter, we followed the World Health Organization's recipe for hand sanitizer, which is simply, it's high-proof food-grade alcohol, it's glycerol, and it's hydrogen peroxide. And so it does show you what's possible. And the team at the distillery have been incredible to the way that they've turned this around. And one of the great things is that our hospitality workers, so our bartenders and our gin tasters who are working in our bar, we had 21 casuals who we had to basically stand down less than 2 weeks ago. And every one of them is back on the bottling line this week, we're now increasing the hours of a lot of our full-time staff in order that we can meet the demand for this product, which has gone completely out of control. And also all of our casuals are back at work. So look, as with so many things that are happening at the moment, we don't have a clue whether this will last for another few weeks, a couple of months, the rest of the year. We can't plan for any of this. We don't know when we'll be able to open our distillery door back up to people to come and enjoy what we do best, which is offer hospitality and gin drinks. We're not a pharmaceutical company, but we'll keep doing it while the need is there, and we'll keep doing it while it employs our people. So that's it's a good win out of a really bad situation.
And the Therapeutic Goods Administration responded to supply concerns by cutting the red tape on making hand sanitizer, meaning it's now a lot easier for local businesses like Four Pillars Gin to legally manufacture it.
Strict safety requirements are still enforced, of course, Darcy. So while there are a lot of home hand wash recipes popping up on the net and around about, it's best to leave it to the experts.
Yeah, definitely leave it to the experts who need the business as well and know a lot about making alcohol at the same time, so you can sip on a G&T after you've washed your hands.
Bold lip or bold eye? I gotta go bold lip. It's a one swipe. It's like throwing on a high heel. It just transforms everything.
The 90s seems to keep coming back in makeup. And I am a fan. I love a good J-Lo 90s liner with the light inside. It's about doing it tastefully, of course. Lip Duo is a 2-in-1. You've got a matte lipstick and a lip gloss. You can use the matte purely as matte or the gloss as it's intended. But everyone knows I'm a layerer, so that's why I have always been such a fan of flower. When I say layering, there is different looks you can still achieve with layering. 1 to 2 layers of the matte is just going to intensify the colour, and it's going to be very prominent and looking quite matte all over. And then if you go for the gloss over the top of that, you'll have the colour behind, also the texture will change. So it really depends what you're going for, whether it's colour intensity or whether you're just wanting more of a shine to your lips. Personally, I love a red matte lip, but if you do go and you are wanting more of a gloss, the neutral colours, the warm melon colours really look quite flattering with the gloss. And if you're using a red, a matte is always timeless.
Coming up next, we cross to Amsterdam to see how the Canal City is coping in lockdown. Joe and Gus Weigh In weighs in for the first time since he started Hines' Health Challenge. That's next on the House of Wellness.
Definitely check my phone. Turn my alarm off, probably straight on Instagram. Love a Mexican feast. Tacos, fajitas, burritos, anything Mexican, love it. Oh my God, you can't ask me that question. That is way too tough. I love both equally. Do not make me choose. Everyone loves Roger Federer, how can you not? I clean, which is my housemate is very thankful for. Bad drivers, don't like bad drivers. Slow walkers. Cruisy. Probably success is no accident. I think no one in life is going to succeed if you don't work hard for it. And all those people that do succeed, it's come from a mountain of work behind them. So.
For the past 10 weeks, our great mate Gus Weigh In has been on a mission to turn his life around by signing up to Hines' Health Challenge. Joe?
Oh, Hines made him sweat at the beach, bash through a bushwalk, and he swapped bacon for organic pork belly, which honestly, that just sounds delicious to me.
Well, Gus has remained committed, determined and, of course, smiling, as always, throughout the whole ordeal. So let's see how he's faring during a time when most of us, Joe, to be honest, spending a bit more time looking at the fridge.
It's been a really rigorous few weeks, and it'll be interesting to see where Gus is at now. It's really normal to lose a lot of weight at the start of any program and then have a period of plateau. But the key to anyone's success is if they can get over that plateau and then continue to stay on track and lose the weight. So that's what we'll probably be finding out today.
Good morning, handsome man.
G'day, Lukey. How are you, mate?
Look at you.
Wish I could give you a hug.
No hug today, brother.
No hug.
Social distancing. Mate, what are you wearing? This is a bit familiar.
This is the top that we wore when you first came to my place.
First weigh in.
That's right.
It is now hanging off you.
It is now literally hanging off me, so I wanted to just sort of show you.
Get it off. Come on, you've been dying to do that. No, when is the last time you wore this T-shirt?
So this is an extra large T-shirt. This is a T-shirt that I have not had on since 2014.
Can I give you a bit of an in-the-air high-five
come on,
situation?
Boom!
Baby, baby.
I know.
Now, as much as I'd love to just go and watch TV and hang out, well, I'm actually here to do something and actually measure you. What's your prediction? How are you feeling?
I reckon I've lost, I think it was 146.5. I reckon around that between 100 and high 120s, something like that.
Oi!
I reckon. But my measurements is what I'm most excited about because I've been doing so much work and weights and stuff.
It's so good that you've said that because a lot of people, when they gain lean muscle mass and still lose body fat, sometimes their weight on the scales plateaus, and that's not the be-all and end-all. It's how your clothes feel on you. It's how you look. It's that confidence inside. Absolutely loving it. Should we get stuck in?
Let's do it, mate.
Let's do it, baby.
I wish I could hug you, mate. Come on.
You can't hug.
God, bloody coronavirus.
No, stand back. Mate, the all-important weigh-in, starting weight 146.5. Get your shoes off and get on those scales.
Yeah. Well, if you don't mind, mate, I'm going to get everything off.
Have I ever minded? Let's do this. We started off at 146.5. That is incredible. 128. Do you realise that is an 18 kilo loss?
Yes.
That is incredible.
I put so many good habits into my lifestyle now. I really do believe that I'm going to be okay from now on. That target of 105 is still very much in my own head, and I want to get there. But I'm feeling so much better. I've got so much more energy. I'm healthier. I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Oh my God, who is this person? You're a new patient." So there's a lot of positivity around it. My family are on board, so try to stop me now.
Hey, great credit to Gus, Joe. He's looking fantastic. And if he can stick to that regime, it'll seriously change his life.
The great thing is that Hines will always be there to support him. He's doing so much with Gus behind the scenes. So when it's over, it'll never really be over, you know, if you know what I mean?
I know
Never over.
He's a determined man, our friend Heinzie. Of course, the great other partnership is Heinzie and GQ, and they've got it all going on in the kitchen as well, this time with a morning tonic to kickstart your day.
GQ, I know fermented foods are very trendy right now, but they've been around for thousands of years. In fact, I reckon people are eating fermented foods without even knowing it. Things like Vegemite, everyone's favourite, wine, but also apple cider vinegar, which I'm using in today's recipe, my citrus cleanser.
Heinzie, lots of my favourite foods are fermented, and apple cider vinegar is really wonderful. It brings with it benefits in both cooking and as a natural remedy.
Well, I've got to say, from a food perspective, it's great because it's a form of acid that helps balance a flavour profile.
And as a natural remedy, it brings with it antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. And with that, it's been shown to benefit those trying to lose weight. It's helpful in lowering cholesterol, helpful in balancing blood sugar, and especially helpful in digestion.
I'm so glad you've said that because that's how this recipe got its name, citrus cleanser, because it cleanses the digestive system. Now, GQ, did you know that apple cider vinegar contains a substance called the mother? And if it's anything like our own mother, it should be loving and supporting, right?
That's right, Heinzie, but unlike your mum and my mum, the mother here is responsible for the strong smell and the murkiness of apple cider vinegar. Acetic acid is the substance which brings that property, and that brings with it the amazing health benefits within apple cider vinegar.
What if people don't like the taste and smell of apple cider vinegar?
Well, they can do what you've done, mix it with other beverages, or it does come as a separate supplement.
Well, mate, here it is, my citrus cleanser. Cheers to the mother in the apple cider vinegar, and cheers to our own mothers.
Cheers.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Go Healthy, the superior supplement for healthy energy and vitality. Try New Zealand's #1 premium supplement, now available in Australia.
Welcome back to the House of Wellness. As we move into the next phase of coronavirus, it's fast becoming a year that will pretty much be put on hold, I think, Jo.
Yeah, so for that reason, I think it's a great opportunity to do things that we know we can control during a time where we have no control over so many things. So that means being productive, you know, maybe start a veggie patch or some online learning, read the pile of books that are sitting next to your bed gathering dust. You know, do the stuff that you always swore you'd do if you had time.
Hey, Jo, one of my favourite things so far is the pen pal program between school kids and residents in aged care facilities. I love it.
Yeah, this is beautiful. Coronavirus restrictions, of course, means that no one under 16 is allowed to visit aged care facilities. So to help combat social isolation and loneliness, a program called Connecting Generations encourages school children to send handwritten letters, cards and pictures to residents to help brighten their days. And I tell you, I just love this because it's engaging their creativity as they're handwriting and drawing pictures, and it's a bit of respite from technology.
Well, technology is proving to be our saving grace, though, at the same time through this. Over the past few weeks, we've managed to chat to Aussies stranded in Peru and living in lockdown in London and New York.
Well, it does go to show what a truly global community we now live in. This week, I spoke to a Brit living in Amsterdam to see how the beautiful city of canals, tulips and bicycles is living in lockdown.
There's a mixture of people respecting the social distancing and other people that aren't. It tends to be, to stereotype the younger teenagers that aren't necessarily respecting it. I think everybody that's kind of mid-20s up is listening to the advice and staying well apart from people when they do go out.
So what kind of restrictions have you had put in place?
The Prime Minister in the Netherlands addressed the nation and said to us that all schools, universities, kindergartens would be closed, as well as cafes, restaurants, bars, and also gyms, which meant that everybody was pretty much advised to work from home unless they were a key worker. A lot of the also stores that are non-necessary or non-essential, clothing stores, etc., they've voluntarily closed to protect their staff and to protect the public. So people started to take it seriously from that point. Before then, when we were asked to keep our distance and work from home if possible, people didn't really take it into account. So I think the stricter measures had to come in order for people to start taking this seriously.
Do you feel like you should be bringing in stricter restrictions?
The Dutch are a very independent group of people, and being told what to do goes against their kind of their way of life. So I think they feel that being given the guidelines and adhering to them is the right thing.
Have you found it hard? Are you lonely?
Yes, the first week I found it incredibly hard, and actually the first week that we were told to work from home was 2 weeks before the government asked us all to start adhering to stricter measures. And when Spain and Italy and then following that France went on lockdown, I was a bit shaken by that, thinking, okay, I might end up spending 4, 5, 6 weeks inside by myself, and I live by myself as well. So it's made me really appreciate having a hug and seeing your friends and being able to shake their hands. And actually, I'm quite a tactile person, so when I talk to somebody, it's a frequent thing to sort of reach over and touch their arm. Yeah, I'm on the same page as you, and to not be able to do that because somebody's in a screen is very strange. It's taking a while to get used to, but had a bit of a wobble and I'm feeling a lot better. I think making time to talk to friends and family has helped hugely, and I'm probably talking to them more now than I would do if I were going about my normal life.
Well, we're sending love to Amsterdam. We are all getting the sense that globally we're in this together. So we're reaching out to you with a virtual hug across the seas.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Yeah, another great story. Let's hope Alison gets reunited with her family soon. Amsterdam is such a magnificent city, Jo. I love it. Have you been there yourself?
Yes, the canals are so pretty and I really loved the galleries. I can't wait to visit a gallery again.
Hey, speaking of that, once the travel restrictions are over, as they inevitably will, what's the first place on your mind where you're thinking about taking a holiday?
Well, actually, I had a holiday to Bali planned when this all started, so I look forward to getting actually there to enjoy your amazing hospitality,
We
Das.
had you booked in, and we can't wait to get Sugawati Bali back up and running, Joe, and get people across there and hopefully back in town. I know the people of Bali are being affected greatly by this as well. I tell you what I'm looking forward to is maybe focusing a little bit local, get the 4 kids in the car, go somewhere in Australia, so much Australia that you haven't explored or I haven't explored, so I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, that is a really great idea to get out there.
That's all we've got time for today on our show. Head to our website, houseofwellness.com.au for more information or to catch up on any previous shows, and tune into the House of Wellness radio show every Sunday with our own Joe Stanley and Gerald Quigley. Thanks as always to our good friends at Chemist Warehouse, and until next time, stay well, stay home and stay safe.
There's a feeling so strong.